So you've made an app. Now what's next? In the AI age, building is the easy part, but how do you get people to pay for it, or even just know that you exist? On episode 74 of Tool Use, we're joined by Sukh Saini. He's an exited founder and is currently building Engyne. And today we're going over why distribution is so important, how to build your personal brand and establish trust with your potential customers, and approaches to increase your chances of building a winning product. Please enjoy this conversation with Sukh Saini.
But really, I was a horrible employee. I would always try to finish up my work really, really fast and like try to build stuff on the side. So I was always spending my evenings and my weekends just building. I don't think I've ever taken like a weekend kind of off. Weekends are pretty special for me to like work on things that are like passion projects where I don't have any like meetings or calls I have to do. So I've always just like build products on my own. And then my first product was like this Android app that I built. Then I built a bunch of like blockchain apps that when blockchain was big. And now I'm very much building first B2B and now really B2C apps. And that's been my trajectory, honestly, just build stuff and then try to sell that build stuff.
Nice, excellent. Because I think now you're up to what, 38 products that you've taken a swing at?
Yeah. So I learned a long time ago, somebody shared this with me, which is like, if you have a rope and that rope is trying to like cut a stone, if you like go over it one time, obviously it's not going to cut that stone, right? But if you just keep going back at it, it might take you not even minutes, man. It might take you like weeks, years, but eventually you will leave a groove in that stone and eventually that stone will be cut. It's not a matter of if, it's only a matter of when. And so and businesses like that stone, I think like once you kind of like get it on like how business works, like how do you get ideas, how do you get customers? It's only a matter of time that you'll be successful. And that could be like customers, the revenue, like, or notoriety that you get. So I'm just like a student of the game. Every single product that I build, I try to like one up that. So it's like a cycle. So you come up with that idea, you try to sell it. You might raise some funding and then ... something, but you might not get there every single time. So like first time you might get like quarter return. Next time you might get like, 33% of the turn. Every single time you take a swing, you just go a little bit higher and just a little bit higher every single time. And then eventually you'll get to the point where like, you're like, oh my God, I just went through the whole loop. And so I did that with the first company that I sold is called Retail, which is like an e-commerce website builder. That was probably my like 26th, 27th product that I built. But I just knew so much about how to build a product, how to code that like when I started it, I already knew how to do those things. The only like small percentage alpha that I needed to get was how do I get customers? And once I was able to figure that out, like it just went like the growth on that skyrocketed to the point where I actually like sold the company and I kind of did one loop of the whole thing. And so now, because I did one loop of the whole thing and I know what each of the little parts of the loop require, I can optimize it and make that loop bigger and bigger and bigger every single time. And that's like the point of like building multiple products. It's not to, hey, I'll get like $20 here, I'll do like $100 here, and then like maybe all those revenue combined will like help me live my life. That's not it. It's how many times can I just like get that percent, like plus 10%, plus 11% better every single time. So that at some point, I just know so much of it that like it helps me get to the win so much faster the next time around.
Nice. And just about that one situation, did you know ahead of time that Retail was going to be a winner? Did you have a lot of conviction behind it? Or what was the situation that got it all the way to sale versus the other 20 some odd attempts?
Yeah, I actually figured out the distribution. So the way the story kind of like started off is I was building out a bunch of different products, right? So I'll be like, typically like, here's an idea, let me code it up. I was doing it for a long time and I was playing this game of like, maybe I'll get $100 a month from MRR from this product and like this 100. And with 20 products, maybe I'll make 2000 and like, that's how I will live my life. And there's a bunch of reasons why that doesn't work and I'm happy to go through them. But it was on Twitter when I was scrolling that there was an opportunity that came up, and it was a product manager from Stripe, and he said, "We're opening up a marketplace in Stripe." Okay. And users of Stripe are going to be able to install these apps. Think of them as like as plugins, plugins inside Stripe that business owners will be able to install, and third-party developers are able to build these plugins. And they said, this thing is going to open up for public access in about 6 or 7 months, and then we're just doing like some promotion around it. And at the time, they were only working with public companies, so you'll see this every single time when there's an app ecosystem. It's always the bigger companies that are there first. Think like Mailchimp had a plugin there. Box.com, Asana, like those kind of like Monday.com would have their integrations. I was reading that and I was like, man, Stripe has only business owners as their ICP. So the people that are going to be installing these plugins are going to be business owners. Business owners are great because they're making money. That's the reason why they're using the Stripe in the first place. They have money. Okay, great. Now, if I'm able to like save this business owner, maybe I'll like either save money or like make money. But if I can make them, let's say $100, I can definitely charge them $10, right? If I'm making you $100, I'm allowed to charge $10, and that makes sense, right? So I saw that tweet and I spent the next 3 days coming up with five app ideas and that I would build for this these plugins. And I found the email of the product manager and I sent an email to, I think 5 or 6 emails to different product managers of Stripe being like, I would love to get early access to this Stripe apps thing. I think it's going to be great. Here's the 5 apps I would build. And these are the Figma, mock-ups of like what these apps will be. And one of those folks responded back to me. We got on the call and he gave me access. So I had 6 months early access to this marketplace that other people were gonna like, they didn't even know about it. They didn't even know what to build with it. I already had the Figma mockups and like a way to publish that. So basically like I would code it up and then put it into the app store and then it would be available for everybody. So I was the first indie developer to have that access. And because I had that access, I had 6 months worth of learning through creating this app before anybody else did. So when the app store finally launched, I was number one. And I also became friends with the person that reviews the app as well. And so the way it works is like you put your app up, similar to like iOS App Store. So like you put it up, and then they take about a week or two to review, make sure like everything else looks good, like branding is good, and nothing is like suspicious. Because I had gone through so many of these revisions, like with this one person, I knew him. I knew him personally. And so and so then when the app launched, I already had users. Um, and the Stripe team was like really helping me to, put in sometimes in featured, sometimes it's like recommending it. I remember like my app was shown inside the company as well to like, hey, like this is what the developers are building with our tooling that we put out. So all of that combined made the app skyrocket in growth. And I got to a point where I was accepted into Techstars, the accelerator, for a different idea that I was working on. And then I had to figure out which one required most of my, like, where could I spend most of my time? And so I thought that I was at a point where I didn't have any new ideas for this app. And I was like, this is a great time for me to sell it again to like understand that loop, right? Because the next time around, I want to make this loop bigger. But the only way to make it bigger is if I've lived through that experience. And, I already have something that's working that somebody would buy. And so I think I listed the app for 2 days and it was sold, cash in hand.
Could you actually go into why having a big collection of products that you manage to try to get a little bit of MRR from each one is not a good approach?
It's a horrible approach because I think like it's easy for technical developers to like fall into a rut because you're like, well, I'm going to take the same code base and I'm going to swap out these two things, make a little bit of a change in the database schema. We're going to largely have the same thing and put that app out there. But building a product, it's like the actual code of it is like 1 or 2% of the whole equation. And so there's two reasons why this is a bad idea. One is that let's say you have 10 apps, you're context switching from like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all of them require equal amount of your attention. Doesn't matter if I made a Hello World app, it requires your full attention. Um, and if you have 10 apps, you're like dividing that attention across 10. So you're making a little bit of progress across each of one of them. Um, and the beautiful thing with startups is the growth is exponential, right? So I might, if I have one idea, I might be spending a lot of energy at the start and it's not growing as fast. But if I just keep on with it, in a 2 year, 3 year, the growth on that is going to be exponential, right? So year 2 or 3. But if I'm only putting in a 1/10 of the energy, I'm only going to see that exponential curve take hold 10 years from now. You see what I mean? So it's much easier for me to have one thing that I put a lot of my energy in and get to that exponential curve like super quickly, because if that exponential curve hits, you're not going to be making 2K anymore. You're going to be making 20K, 200K. That's one. And number two is like the work around like building an app is not just the code. So things like figuring out what the positioning is, thinking about what the landing page needs to look like even talking to customers, those are, even if I was building a Hello World app, I need to do that. Talking with customers and finding those customers to talk to, and then like doing prospecting for them. Um, Specifically for B2B, is a full time job on its own. Now, layer on the fact that I got to do not only customer interviews, but I got to do customer interviews for like 10 different products. It's wildly inefficient. You can't do it. For B2C apps, you might say, okay, you know what? I'm gonna go the SEO route. I'm not even gonna like do these calls. Well, an SEO route, the SEO strategy, I used to run an SEO company. You still need to like write articles, right? But like the articles have to make sense somehow. Like, why are you writing about these things, and what is the reason why somebody would read your article versus the other one? So what you're doing is now, creating a content strategy and making sure that works. There's backlinks involved. There's, like getting experts to like give you the opinion. There's a whole like operation behind it. It's not just like click a button and like get a blog post written. If you do that, it's not gonna rank. Like it's as simple as that. And so there's a lot of like workaround. And then now if you're doing 10 companies with SEO, like you're running that machine, that content machine over and over again. You might as well just do one. Because again, if you just do the one, the exponential growth function will take you so much further than like if you divided your attention in 1/10 and be like, I'm gonna do a SEO for this thing, but this thing, but this thing, but this thing, but this thing, it just doesn't work. The third one I think is like nobody wants to work with you. That's the other thing. It's a very much an indie developer kind of game. No, if you just talk to somebody like, hey, do you want to work with me? They'll say, okay, what is the thing that you're building? And you say, well, how much you like not building one thing? How much you building 10 things? Okay, you clearly don't understand like like you don't like nobody's going to give you money, nobody's going to want to work with you, so you're actually locking yourself in this like game of I'm going to run these apps indefinitely on my own for the rest of my life. That's what you're signing up for, and I didn't want to sign up for that.
Right. So breadth of ideas at the early stage, figure out one that like resonates and then just go all in on it.
Exactly. Yeah, I did the same thing with like retail, right? So I was building the e-commerce website builder. I had 5 ideas and was building all 5 of them. And then when I just by talking to this product manager, he was like, out of these 5 ideas like you're building, just like this one makes the most sense because I've talked to these business owners, like that part of my job at Stripe to like talk to these people. This one just makes the most sense. And the minute I saw that, I dropped all 4 of them and then worked on that one. So I was building a bunch of different tools last year. One was I was an SEO tool, and then a LinkedIn personal branding tool, and then this was another one which is like it's called Carousel Studio. This is the one that I'm like currently working on, which helps you create like Instagram carousels inside Canva. And I was working on all of them, and then I saw the carousel thing just like blow up on like at the very beginning. And I saw that curve kind of like curving up, almost like not even go linear. And I dropped everything else. I refunded all the customers that I had. And I told them, I'm sorry. I know like you like this tool, but I just can't work on this because I know that that thing is picking up and it requires all of my attention. I cannot do this like 1/10 or in 1/3 or in like half the attention thing. It has to get my full attention That is the only way this curve is gonna start curving upwards. Otherwise, it's not.
And actually, one story you told me that I would really like to go over. It's an easier time than ever to build. But what do you do before you write any code? Because I'm thinking about the hackathon that you won.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I won the hackathon with Will I Am in LA. So he hosted like a lovable vibe coding hackathon. And the interesting way I came across that, by the way, was working on a bunch of different ideas, and like nothing was growing as fast, and I wasn't like super happy with where I was at, and I was trying to like find new ideas. I was scrolling through LinkedIn, and this thing came up, which is like vibe coding hackathon with Will I Am in LA, and I'm like, I'm down. And this is another thing like I think a lot more people should do is don't plan too much, don't think too much. Be a person or like understand that you're a type of person that when they see opportunity, that you'll make something of the opportunity. Opportunity doesn't have to prescribe to you exactly where to get to at that time. So I thought, I don't know, Will I Am is cool and Lovable is cool. It can only, and then I had a friend that he's works at Lovable, so I was gonna meet him. So I was like, everything about it is great. There's no like long term vision for this thing, but why not? I put in, I signed up, and I got the invitation to come to fly down, like the next couple, like 3 days later. As in like the event was gonna be like 3 days later, and I'm like, oh my god! So I booked the flight and I bought a camera, by the way, to like record the whole experience as well. On the day off, I got a DJI camera. And I
Nice.
went there, and so it was a 5 hour hackathon, and it was the format was you were gonna be every developer or builder was gonna be paired up with a music artist. Okay, so the it was to create ideas around music or help music artists in some way. That was the theme of it. And so it was myself and then a music artist. And I already knew how fast it is to build an idea. I've done so many of them. I know exactly, I can tell you the database tables that we need to make. That's not the way to do it. Like, so in the 5 hours, I knew it would take us 15 minutes to like make the tool if we were to build something. Instead, what I did was on the flight over, I went to ChatGPT and said, I know nothing about the music business, and I said, hey, for the music business, can you give me like like the big problems that people like music artists specifically complain about, and do deep research, and then back every message that you give me with a citation to that Reddit post, whatever. And so it came with a bunch of like statements, and I printed it out. So I printed it out, and then when I was at the hackathon, I was like talking to some people, and I was like, "Oh, Spotify doesn't like really pay us artists like a lot." You know what I mean? They're like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, it's crazy." I'm like, "Okay, great. That was a good one. That was a good one. That was a good one." And we sat. So instead of coding, I took my list of ideas and then made them from like problems to solutions, and then we just walked around. So these are the room is Grammy winning artists. That's who the room is full of. They've never been a builder though. And so when I go up to them and I say, we have these, instead of like four, so that's another golden rule. If you have like more than two ideas, don't tell them more than two ideas. Just tell them like these two ideas. Which one would you pay for? Right. And so that's what I did. Because if it's four, they're like, oh, what was the second one again? Oh, what was the fourth one again? You just want to give them a binary like this one or that one. That's it. And so I went in at four ideas, but then we would always pitch them two. And I said, hey, tell me the idea that you'll pay $10 for right now. That's the contract. You can say, I don't want to pay for either, and that's fine. But if you do say that you will pay for this thing, I'm going to build this and I'm going to collect money. And so that's what I did. And we went from one person, pitched up two ideas, second person, third person, fourth, fifth, sixth. And we had a couple of people that were like, I'll pay you $10. Like, here's my credit card. I'm like, hold that. I'm going to come back for it. And I took photos of them, by the way. So I took photos of all the people that we did this. Um, we went back, and then I drew a matrix of like, okay, these are the three ideas, out of the four. These are three ideas that mainly people want. But let's grade it on a curve on a like a little table of like how easy it is to build, how down our like am I even like excited about this idea? Like not really. And how much money can we make out of this? Right. So like there's some things that are like people are like, I would love to have that. And they will only pay $1 for that. And that's not something I'm not here to solve $1 problems. I'm here to solve $10,000 problems and charge maybe $10 for it. Right. That's the way it makes sense. So we created it on that curve, and one idea like really stood out. And the idea was called Dub Machine. The so the short pitch for it is music artists spend a lot of their time not making new music, but creating social media content to promote their music. It's like the number one thing that they have to do. Otherwise, they get zero money, zero listeners. Nobody wants to talk to them. Nobody even knows they exist. And so what I did was you drop your social media video in English, and it will translate it to 100 different languages, like the audio of the video, and then it would put it on your Instagram. But you would have different Instagrams. So you would have, let's say, Sukh Brazil, Sukh Indonesia, Sukh India. It's a strategy that Mr. Beast did to like blow up. So he basically had his same channel, but across like multiple different languages. So every one of his like these regional localized channels have like 10 million plus followers. So we basically built that app to like make that easier for them. Um, and when Will saw the app, he basically was like, if, when I was doing Black Eyed Peas, we would have been successful 10 years prior to when we were, because a lot of their audience was in Germany. He doesn't speak German. So like he can't connect with them. But all of a sudden, if he's making English content and that's being translated in German and all his German audience is seeing that, of course, it's not going to be like the world class. He doesn't know how to speak German, but even 50% is good enough for him. That people know about him, they can listen to his music, and it just gives you 100x more leverage than you on your own. So that's the idea that we built. That was in 15 minutes, and we built that, and then we went back around, and I sent him a Stripe link. Somebody paid, and I put this whole thing on my pitch deck. How we walked around with different ideas, took pictures of those people, what we built, this is what we built. And then, by the way, we already got cash for this. Here's the cash. Here's a Stripe email. And, yeah, we won that basically. That's kind of like where I come to.
That's so cool. Such a good experience. I would love to dive a little bit more into like the idea of validating demand, because when you're in a room with people who are target audience, like it's one thing to actually have these conversations. Not necessarily easy to do, but at least geographically everyone's there. What would you say for people building their own like SaaS product or digital product? How do they get that validation?
I have a much more practical take on this, because a lot of people will just say like the answer typically you will see is like go talk to people and then you'll find it. You'll find like what they're willing to pay for. I find there's a couple of issues with that when you try to follow that advice. One is that, who do I talk to? That's one. Number two is like, okay, so am I supposed to just like sell the thing, but like I don't have a product built. So like, what are they buying? Like, what is it? What am I even selling? Right. So I have a framework around this, which is like, you need to have. Oh, the third thing you also can't do is like, let me get on a call with, let's say you, Mike. Mike, what would you pay for? Mike doesn't like, you don't know what I like, what to even start with. Like the customer doesn't actually know what to tell you, because most of the advice is like, go talk to customers and they'll tell you what to build. But that's actually like a little bit hard to do because the customers don't know, especially a random person. What I do is, and I've started doing this more and more, is you have to do extensive research on a like industry that you're like really passionate about. So for example, I love like social media. Like that's good, social media and go to market. That's been a place that I'm like really excited about. You go in and you take a look at like what are the different job functions that people have. So like there might be a RevOps person, there might be a marketing person. In marketing, there's like event managers, there's social media consultants, there is what other type of, like there's content writers, like blog writing, there's like personal branding people. So there's like all these different like job roles in that. And then you're looking at like what are the tools they're using, and just making up a hypothesis of like what might be an issue for them. So let me give you a concrete example. I think, as sort of like as a hypothesis, I think like social media managers basically have to manage like 10, 5, maybe 10 different like accounts across Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, whatever. Like there's a bunch of different channels, right? And my hypothesis is that, jumping into each one of these apps and like posting the post of the day is like difficult for them. And there are some tools on the market, but maybe they're not doing the job properly. That's my overall thought. And so now if I do this, that's my thesis, and that's a person I think that has a problem. And I think that these are the tools that they could be using, but I'm like I'm not sure like if they're happy with that model, right? That's my full sphere of like understanding. Now I go to LinkedIn and I search up social media managers at XYZ companies, right? And then I have a list of them, and I call them up and I say, hey, by the way, I just wanted to like talk about your social media strategy. Would you be down for like your pain points around that? Would you mind having like a 30-minute call with me? They're like, great. Jump on a call. You say, hey, what tools are you using? To like post across all these channels? And they're like, well, I use like X tool, but like it actually doesn't post to Pinterest. Oh, okay. Why do you need Pinterest anyway? And then like, oh, Pinterest is really great for our brand. Oh, okay. But like, how much are you paying for this other tool? And like, this is much. Okay. Do you think like a tool that would like post across all these things would be helpful to you? And they're like, yeah, it would be great. Or like, no, not really. I'm fine with like not posting on Pinterest. But and then like you go through that thing and then let them tell you like kind of like what they would pay for or like what they would really love to like make their job easier. Um, but the important bit is that you need to go in with a hypothesis first. You can't say, hey, social media manager, what's your like top pain points? I've done that and it never works because they might say, I don't really know. Like everything is good. I don't know what to tell you because like you just jump on a call. I don't even know you. I don't even know what you can do. Like you know that you're a great builder, but they don't know that. And so it just like wastes a lot of time. So if you start in with a hypothesis and like try to like validate or like not validate that, that's a much better way of like validating the business idea. And then if they're like, well, great, I would love that kind of like tool. That'd be great. Like if the one that could like post across everything. And you say, great. I'm gonna have that for you to take a look at tomorrow. With vibe coding, you can actually whip something like that like really, really quickly and like show them that. And then at the end you say, hey, by the way, it's gonna be like $50 a month, like when I launch it. But I want to work with you and I want to give you a deal. And I want to give you like $25 a month if you like sign up right now. And I promise you, there are people in the world that will pay you that $25 right there, and you send them a Stripe link. You should already have a Stripe payment like ready to go, and then you get them to pay, and then you give them access. Now, you also say, hey, if I cannot build this, or if this is not good to your liking, I will refund you all the money that like gotten from it, every one of them, and I'm happy to pay like $5 on top just so because I wasted time. If you do this over and over again, I've done this, and then there's been times when I wasn't able to go through with the product. This is pre AI when like it was difficult to build things. And I've refunded back people money, and then I took a screenshot of that and put it on Twitter, being like, "Hey, couldn't build it, but like here's your refund." It just like builds up your character and builds up like your personal brand because you're gonna reach out to more people later as well. So you want them to think, I got on a call with you and I say, hey, by the way, I've actually already done this. Like I've refunded people money and here's a proof. So I'm not a scammer, right? It just like goes a long way.
Absolutely. And actually, on that note, I've been hearing mixed opinions lately about building in public. Do you see, like, are you pro, against, especially in the AI age? What do you think about building in public?
I'm definitely pro, and I'm actually such a big pro that my friend, and he's my mentor as well. His name is KP, on both LinkedIn and Twitter as well. I joined this course 3 years ago or something, and I paid like 2K in fees to like learn how to build in public. It's just like so important to me. So, and it's the only marketing strategy that actually makes sense to me and has worked for me as well. So the typical cons are you're going to build something, put it out there, and people are going to copy it. Nobody wants to copy your $0 a month. Nobody wants to. You wish that that would be the case, that somebody would pay attention to you that much, that like, oh, I'm going to go and copy this screen or that screen. Nobody cares. That's number one. Number two is, even if somebody does copy it, that's the thing, right? Like you need to have a distribution edge. You need to like you need to have a unique way of selling. So like they can definitely buy some like build whatever is on the website right now, but they don't have your mind of like how I'm gonna sell this, or your customers already, right? So like the customers that like you because you sold a product to them, they're not gonna be like, because there's like a $5 discount, I'm going to jump over there. Business people are much more likely to pay $5 more if that gives them like peace of mind over, saving $5 a month and then like going somewhere else where like it'd be horrible for them. Right. So I don't, this risk, people think like, okay, if there's an app and it was making, let's say, N dollars, another person is going to come up, and now all of a sudden it's half the people are going to go here, half the people are going to go there. That's not how it works. It's the power law. The biggest company is going to have 80%, and the next one's going to have like, 80% of users. The next one is going to have maybe like 5%, 1%. And then everybody's fighting. The copycat are going to have the 0.1, percent, and they're going to be like fighting from each other, right? You don't want to like play that game. You mostly can ignore that game. The third one is most people can only copy your features that are on the site right now. Your startup journey is kind of like it's a journey. You started from somewhere, you're gonna get somewhere here. Most people are gonna see you here in the middle and then copy that part of it. But they've just copied that value that you had, not the vector that you're going at. So because then that would mean that they like every day they literally go log onto your site and whatever changes that are there that are making that change, right? They're not doing that. They're just like copying you at a point in time. So understand that your journey is different. You're going a different route than they are. It just happens to be the same intersection at that point. So that's like important. And the last one is that they're not going to raise any like all it requires is like for you to be a person that like is charismatic and like knows what they're building and is deeply passionate about it, like raise some funding, and then now you can do 10x more things, and then they're still stuck on their, let me go see if I can copy somebody else because I don't know how to raise any money. I know I have zero skills. Oh, I'm gonna add another one. The fifth one is a personal brand is just such a big, big advantage that like if I'm on a 30-minute call with you to try to get investment or funding or even like have you partner up with me, if I'm spending 15 minutes of my time explaining to you why I'm a cool guy, I've already lost the fight. There is no fight. I want you to come into the room thinking that I'm awesome. And the only way to do that is if you like search up my name and see like stuff happening about me on LinkedIn, Google, wherever. Right. That's the first thing people do. Search up your name. Search up your name on LinkedIn. Search up your name on Twitter, whatever. And then maybe now search up your name on ChatGPT. And again, like because ChatGPT is pulling from all these different sources. If you're not building in public, then you're not in there. And so then you're spending every single important call that you're having, um, that will like change the direction of your journey. You're spending like 15 to 20 minutes being like, you should work with me because I'm doing this and I'm doing that and I'm doing that. They need to already come in with like, oh my God, I'm going to talk with like somebody who is energetic, has charisma, is somebody, and that's somebody I want to work with. And so they're convincing you now you should work with them, not you like work with me, please. It's a completely different dynamic.
And I'd love to dive into the personal brand building aspect. Is it true you can build thought leadership in 20 minutes a week?
You can't do that. Yeah, you can, I think. I think like one of the ways I was doing it. So this is like so I had an engine, which was like a personal branding product for LinkedIn. The way I do it now is like podcasts like this, right? Or like the calls that I'm having. And what I typically do is what I've seen is when people sit down to write cool stuff, they can't do it. But when they're like talking to people, when they're like giving advice, it's just so much easier, right? If you're doing that the whole day, take that transcript and then put in ChatGPT or whatever you want and say, hey, what are like the important points out of here that somebody would find value in, and it will give you a couple of points and then like expand those. And if you do that repeatedly, I promise you that's all the time that you need to like build a personal brand. Because I used to do that. It's been like 4 years now since I've been like writing in public. And I think when I first started, I was like, I know that it's successful when people would walk up to me and reference my content, being like, I saw it, and it's gotta be somebody that I don't know. And fortunately, this year started to happen. Right. So it's it's not, the quality of ideas is great, but most important is like, have you chipped it? Have you like said something over? Have you said the most perfect thing? two different things, right? Done over perfect. So if you give yourself like 20 minutes, I'm sure you can like list out 5 or 6 things about your industry or like about the things that you're doing that are interesting, expand those out, and then like, put them out on LinkedIn. LinkedIn only wants you to put out one post a day. They don't require like a, like a quantity like Twitter does. So I think like it's totally possible to do that. And that's the way I've done it.
Nice. Yeah, I've done something similar where I'll upload a transcript or whatnot and actually have the AI prompt me with questions. And then my answer to the questions becomes the other asset because I found sometimes it'll struggle extracting what I view as the most important things. It kind of just like selects potentially arbitrary aspects from a talk. But if you kind of have it create the questions, prompt you, you know how to answer, then, make it a little more polished. It works well. Do you have advice or a playbook around if people should just go to LinkedIn? Should they write a newsletter? How do they start approaching this, or is it different for every individual?
The way I would think about it is you want to be a person. Okay, so there's a couple like prerequisites before you even get to this stage, right? One, you got to be doing interesting things. You can't talk about interesting things if you're not doing interesting things. That's number one. And you got to be able to like recognize that the interesting things that you're doing, that people are like, there's some people that would want to learn from that. And by the way, a lot of people fail this test, right? One, they might not be doing interesting things. Number two, they might not be realizing that what they're doing is actually that interesting because like they just see it day to day. Right? So that's number one. Number two is you actually want to be an interesting machine, a content machine. So you don't build a personal brand. You don't say like I want to build a personal brand and like people should follow me because I'm posting all these things. It's more that like, hey, you're doing so many interesting things that people want to like keep up with you is what it is. That because they can't do it themselves or they want to like live vicariously through you. That's really what it is, right? That's what makes it's a little bit of a different thing. But now because I do so many things and I try to live my life in that interesting lens, that when I do these things and I put up on LinkedIn, people are like, "Oh my god, like that's crazy! Like he learned that." I did, and I'm learning something from his experience without actually doing the work. So like I'm getting alpha, and I gotta like keep subscribing and keep seeing because I want to like learn all these things that he's doing. So so step number two is like you want to be a prolific writer, so somebody who's not like a perfectionist and somebody who knows what a good hook is and who can see a good story when they see it. Like so, the moments in time, you need to be a good writer, um, a good writer and a good storyteller. Then you get into okay, now how do I build a personal brand up around this? Because if you've done the first two steps, you already have like a massive list of things that you can write about, and you actually know what good writing looks like. So the way I did it for myself is like I actually have a Notion doc and I had 28, 30 different things that I can like teach people, right? And so I was like, okay, well, there's only like 56 weeks or whatever, 52 weeks in a year, whatever
Yeah.
number that is. So even if I had like 30 ideas, I'm sure if I start writing them, I'll like be able to fill the rest of the ideas and I would have a content plan for the year, right? And then all you have to do is just sit down and like basically write out each idea one every week. And I'm sure when you put out when you start doing this over and over again, by the fourth or fifth idea, your brain will start giving you ideas. You'll start walking through life differently because you'll be like, that's a content idea. That's a content idea. I walked into Tim Hortons. Why is Tim Hortons charging $1 for their coffee, but like across the street, Starbucks is charging $3 a coffee? And you just went to get a coffee. That's a content idea, right? So when you start doing that, you start like making up more ideas and it becomes easier and easier. Most people, and again, it's an exponential function, right? The more you like talk about things, the more ideas you'll get, the more you'll be able to talk to interesting people, which will make interesting stories, interesting content. I think that where people sort of like fall short is like one, they just want to have a personal brand. They don't particularly want to do interesting things. So one cannot exist without the other.
And that actually reminds me back, the biggest growth I saw on social media is during my time at Open Interpreter. One, Open Interpreter, super cool project, but my job, a portion of my job was just make engaging demos. So I got to really push this technology to the limits, spend a lot of time playing with it. And like you said, people can't. So if they can see a 1 minute video on Twitter of me doing something really cool, they're going to follow along. And that lined up perfectly. I also followed this writer, Tim Urban, and he has a rule. I forget what the number is, but it's either 100 to 1 or 1,000 to 1. He'll only consume content if it was created requiring 100 times or 1,000 times more effort than it is for him to read it, or more time committed. And it shows if you put the effort into like learning something cool, getting really deep into it, and then sharing that, you spend a lot more time. People like that distilled, pure sense of knowledge that they're getting from you.
I think it's also people are like I've heard a, I've heard a lot of takes of like, hey, well, writing is already solved. We go in ChatGPT and like write, and it can write for days. But I think writing is actually going to be way, way more important. Learning, knowing how to write is going to be way, way more important in the next couple of years than it's ever been. Because yes, people can write stuff. So what that's done is like move the bar of average a little bit up, but the exceptional bar lies like much, much higher. And it's easy to spot that. That's the thing, right? So like in a photo, maybe you can't tell like what's photos been taken from like a fantastic camera versus my iPhone. But for writing, I can actually tell like how you make people feel and how you communicate as well. Like that, like I feel you can tell, like I can tell. So the quality of your ideas have to be high, and then the way you communicate those ideas have to be high as well. And the only way you learn to do that is by writing yourself a ton of times. Just the reps that you put in. I put up 360 posts on LinkedIn last year. All of them were like handwritten.
I'm curious because I agree. AI, it decimates mediocrity or brings everyone up to a certain level, but to get beyond that, like it's incapable of it. You need the taste, you need the experience yourself. But for distribution specifically, what's something or a general strategy that works now that wasn't an option a year ago, and vice versa? What used to be like a go-to and it doesn't work anymore?
That's a good one. I think like blogging, that's an easy one. Like blogging used to be like really, that's how HubSpot was built on the blogging trend in 2010s. And I don't think it works as well now. So there is like a little workaround. You need to be present in SEO, like in blogging to be showing up on ChatGPT. So like that's like a prerequisite. But on its own, people are not consuming blogs anymore. Like that. There's a tweet that I read in the morning. There's a really popular um, CSS library called Tailwind, and the Tailwind CEO was like, I had to hire, I had to fire 75% of my engineering staff, and also he was sharing numbers around how many, what the site traffic was now versus like a year, 80% down because like nobody's reading those docs anymore. They're kind of like prompting in ChatGPT, so like that thing doesn't work anymore. I think in terms of like what's working, I'll think like what's working, what I found success in, and so that is I don't know if again I don't know if it was already always true, but building in marketplaces has been like a really good way for like something I didn't see myself doing a couple of years ago, and now I'm like very bullish on it. So for context, I built it in the Stripe app marketplace before, like that the Stripe plugin that I built and sold. Then I build a plugin for Webflow, for Slack, for HubSpot, for Vercel, and now I'm doing it for Canva. And it's interesting. I didn't really see it until just recently. How many of these marketplaces are there? Did you know? Well, you actually already know this, but Shopify has one, and Klaviyo came out of the Shopify marketplace, which is it's an IPO'd company now. There's also Salesforce has a whole plugin ecosystem, and Microsoft has an ecosystem, by the way. AWS has one. So these companies, Heroku has one. The biggest one, WordPress has one. The Google has one. So Google is the biggest one. I don't know if anybody's like actually added in like the add-ons, but they're massive. Like incredible install numbers for like anybody building in there. So there's all these different like marketplaces that companies have built up. And if you are building something in there and it's just the right mixture of like what that ICP is looking for and kind of like what you have, you can unlock a lot of distribution through that. So Canva, so I have the number one trending app in Canva. Canva has 100 million monthly active users. There's about 300 apps on there right now. And so if anybody's looking to do anything, they only have one app option to use like one of the apps or plugins that are available. So it's an insane unlock. And I think, by the way, over holidays, the thing that opened up is the ChatGPT app store. And so ChatGPT processes about 2.5 billion messages per day. So if you can get, 100 people in there to take a look at your app, it's life changing for you. Um, oh, by the way, like before the ChatGPT App Store, they also had the custom GPT store as well, which not a lot of people like paid attention to it. A lot of generational companies were built, or like not massive companies, but like companies that have done really well off of just launching, like having a presence on the custom GPT store. They've done really well. So there's all these distribution mechanisms that are coming up, and I think ChatGPT is going to be the next big one. It's certainly the most barren one at the moment because nobody's built anything for it. So if you can jump in, and if you believe that a percent of that 2.5 billion conversations can flow through your app, there is a way to make money out of that. And there's a way to like turn that traffic that's coming in from ChatGPT to your own app.
Is there any difference in approach that a builder should take if they're looking to go the ChatGPT app marketplace route versus just put up a website and do a regular SaaS?
I've done that before. So there's a couple of gotchas to like take care of. So when you have like a website out on your own, you tend to sort of like ask yourself this question, which is, how do I get the customers out of this app into my app? And that always is a bad question because it's just you try like fit two puzzle pieces that don't particularly fit together, and you've like figured out a way to do this. A better question to ask yourself, and by the way, like 99% of the companies do this exactly. That's the reason why most of these marketplaces have apps that are like kind of awful. So it's a Mailchimp integration in Stripe. You can connect Mailchimp emails and they show up in Stripe. I don't think I'm sure there's some people that like find that useful, but it's not a native use case. It's not like a unique use case. It's actually like just a plugin, like a way to plug in Mailchimp into this like new distribution channel, but it doesn't do anything unique. A better question to ask yourself is like, if I was a Canva or if I was this, a customer that uses Canva, like a paid customer, what problems am I running into that, an app would be greatly suited to like automate away? So for example, like I can give you an example as well. Like on Stripe, it does have my payment information and all that stuff, but it gives me no information on like, am I gonna hit 10K in revenue next month or like no? What countries are have the highest refund rates? What time slots am I getting most of my payments on? How many of my people are paying more recurring versus like one time? You know what I mean? Like these kind of questions. There's no mechanism for that in Stripe. There is a Stripe add-on they can pay for, like Sigma reports, I think it's called. It's like a feature they can pay additional for. But that is a problem that a business owner using Stripe is having. So if you just like build an add-on that's like, hey, I'll show you like all the reports, like easy to understand answers for all your customer information, that is super valuable for me. But you can only do that if you're thinking, okay, what is a problem that this platform's customers are having actively that the platform can't actually build themselves? Let me just like plug that hole. Um, and so that's the way to think about it. Eventually, though, if that use case finds legs and is growing really fast, then you can launch a SaaS app. And then distribution becomes super easy because anybody that's using your add-on inside the marketplace, you just give them a link to your outside SaaS. And then now all of a sudden you have, 100 million customers that this platform had. Some of those people are like flying over there. And what's funny is like the top of funnel is solved already by this bigger platform. You're no longer going in and trying, dancing on TikTok to like get these people in. They're already coming on your own. And then now you can work on like other distribution mechanisms to like augment this top of funnel for you. So think in the reverse way, not that I have a web app. How do I plug it into like this new ecosystem? Put that to a side and say, what is a unique thing that I can build for this ecosystem so that, even the users and the companies themselves are like super happy that you built this because they were like, man, this is not something that we're going to build ourselves, right? Like, it's great that you did this for our users. It, you'll, there's a lot of benefit to that. And all it takes is for them to put you on featured or trending one time to see that explosion of users coming in.
Very exciting stuff. Suk, last question from me. It's one I like to ask people. What AI tools are you using these days?
The big one is a cursor, honestly, and I use cursor for everything. Mm, I was so recently I started using cursor on my phone to like when I'm on the train ride over that I can like jot some ideas down and like have some PRs like waiting for me to review. So cursor is one big one. Um, the other one is ChatGPT, but there's an interesting way that I think I use it. So I download all of my the problem that told you about just now, by the way, of the Stripe thing, is actually a problem that I have, which is I need to like forecast my business to understand, am I gonna hit this revenue number? Like when am I gonna hit it actually? Like tell me like that. I need to have answers to these questions, and like Stripe doesn't help me. So what I do is like download all of the like the payment information, and I put into ChatGPT in a spreadsheet file, and I say, hey, okay, here like be my business advisor, and let's start with like plotting out the trends that are happening. So give me like countries that are like doing well, countries that are not, the times that are working well for me, um, and can you now tell me like when I'm gonna hit this revenue number? It's like you're gonna hit this revenue number in 4 months. Great. How do I hit it in one? And then it's like, okay, well, to hit one, you need to have X number of users. Okay. You can either increase your prices by this much. You can increase the K factor, which is how many people are being invited in off of one customer. So like if one person invites two people in, there's a K factor of two. So like, can you start that virality thing? Can you do an affiliate sales thing where some other people are creating content about you and then they are getting a cut of the sale? And you need, for each of these programs, it will say, I will make your full program with the numbers you need to hit are. And I'm like, great, let's do two, let's do three. Like, can you show me a plan of that? And then, so then what it starts doing is like, it's very easy to be complacent and say, just going to coast and like, let this number hit in four. That's not why I got into startups. I don't want to get there in 4 months. I want to get it there in 1 month. Show me how I can do that. And I think like that's an interesting way I've been using ChatGPT and been really helpful.
Amazing. Yeah, I definitely could see people taking advantage of that. Before we let you go, is there anything you want the audience to know?
I think the biggest thing is like momentum over everything. So people will tell you that, hey, you're doing like bunch of different things, and like it looks like you're doing this, you're doing that, and it's always people that aren't doing anything. Because if you are standing still and you see one person just like running at normal speed, you're like, yeah, you're doing a lot, and you are like running back and forth. That's what you're doing. But the thing is, you're running back and forth to figure out what is that thing that will get you to success. And like success could mean different things. So don't pay attention to those people. Momentum is everything. So keep chasing the thing and keep trying to like complete that loop. And every single time you complete that loop, I promise you, you're gonna get a little bit ahead every single time. And all it takes is for you to like, almost like a roller coaster, you go all the way to the end. And then the last piece, you get brought down by gravity. Things will just happen on their own. So be somebody that like does things over and over and over again. And where like other people are like, man, aren't you tired by now? And you say, no, I'm not. Keep going.
Love it. You only got to hit once.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for listening to my conversation with Sukh. We recently met at an AI Tinkerers Waterloo event, hit it off, talking about product, distribution, all that fun stuff, and I thought it'd be a great message for you to hear. I do want to make sure that you start thinking about your distribution before you're ready to ship, because as he mentioned, you can't build a personal brand overnight, you can't establish trust overnight, these things take time, and there's no better time than the present to start putting yourself out there, building that network, building those relationships, which will help you succeed in the future. So, one ask is go share something that you've learned recently. You can tag me if you want. I think it'd be really cool to see, but just spread some knowledge. Share a lesson learned, share a win, a loss, anything, but just start getting in the habit of putting yourself out there to build that personality that you want people to know about. I really hope you enjoyed this conversation, and I'll see you next week.